Okay, let's call to order the Finance Committee special meeting for Monday, September 15th. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Jeff, it looks like both you and I were at the June 12th meeting. So we could start with that one.
Yep. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the June 12th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the August 12th, 2025 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the August 14th, 2025 meeting.
I will second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Item 2, discussion, possible action, award of bid, Beach Road Culvert.
Okay, I think, Ray, did you want to start one? We're gonna have Steve do the conversation on the award for bid for Beach Road.
Just a quick intro.
Oh.
We received I think a $300,000 grant through Matt Lesser's office almost 2 years ago for the design of the culvert for Beach Street, to help us in the future build the actual culvert, to avoid further flooding of that neighborhood. And we went out to bid, and Steve, you have the details on that, correct?
I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so as the town manager said, it was actually a $250,000 grant. I believe it's called Urban Action. Or no, it's an ARPA grant, American Rescue Plan grant, $250,000 through the Senator Matt Lesser. We went out for a request for proposals, request for qualifications. We had 10 firms submit qualifications. We had a committee of 3 who reviewed and rated these, which then we narrowed it down to 4 firms to interview. All 4 firms scored over 80. 2 were in the 90s. And then again, 3 people we interviewed for about an hour and a half. There's a presentation, question and answer. And then we also asked as part of this for a proposed fee. Because time is of the essence. This grant runs out in December of 2026. So they have, by the time we get through the process, a little over a year to get this done, and it's very tight. So we asked for a proposed fee. All 4 companies said they could do it for their proposed fee. After we went through the process, we had pretty much a clear-cut number 1. That was Cardinal Engineering. They scored, each member had 100 points in 12 categories, and they scored 296 out of 300 points. So it was almost a perfect score. For $126,500, so basically half of the grants. We've used them before. They did the French Street Bridge about 10 years ago, and their references were very good. They've done about 75 of these projects in the last 10 years throughout the state. So we're recommending that it's moved on to the full council for approval and award, so we can get this rolling before the grant expires in a year from now.
Okay. Steve, just, I guess the only question I'd pose, they're the lowest bidder by a significant amount.
They were.
Does that raise any concerns? I mean, you said you've used them before, got a great score, but just.
So it always raises concerns when there's that big a difference. The biggest difference between this firm, and there's a few more on the list, but in the firms we interviewed, those firms we interviewed are multi-office, multi-state firms. So, they come in and they're proud of the fact that they have 300-400 employees in 16 offices up and down the East Coast. So they're going to have much higher overhead. We also asked for hourly rates for principals and staff engineers and admin and surveyors and all the different categories. And you'll see that their hourly rates are substantially lower for the same type of work that other companies are. So it's just much lower overhead.
Okay. And this is just for the engineering of the project,
This is
not
just
any of the.
No, it's going to be about $1.5 million bridge.
Okay.
So this is just for the engineering. And also I look back in the 2017, And we had a price then, the price was higher, but we also asked them to expand on the project last time, hence why the price went up. So,
Okay. Okay. Jeff, if you don't have any questions, you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I actually just one question first. So
Sure.
this is for the engineering first. What's kind of the game plan? Because you said it's like $1.5 million. What's the game plan after that as far as getting the actual project done and how it's getting funded?
well, finding hopefully some more grants, some more opportunities. So there's a program called Local Bridge, and we're not sure it's gonna fall under there because Local Bridge, the span usually has to be 20 feet. Currently, these are two 36-inch pipes, so that's 6 feet. The proposed opening is probably gonna be no more than 12 or 14 feet. You can't just overbuild it just so we get on there. You know, that's an extra 6 feet. It's a lot more disturbance, a lot more permitting. And it also opens up the possibility of greater velocity and flooding downstream that we could, cause on somebody else. So, so part of what we could have this firm do, or we could do ourselves, is search for other forms of funding, such as these grants. Most grants, there's at least a 20% match. Local Bridge, I think, is a 50% match.
You know, we'll look for additional funding, hopefully through our local rep and senator's office like we have in the past, and kind of mitigate the cost as much grant money as we can get to help maybe plan this into our CIP program in the future.
One of the most important things about having the plan ready is it's ready to go. So if a grant comes available, we could say it's shovel ready.
Yeah.
Permits in place, design ready to go.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of my next question. Just kind of chicken or the egg. Do you spend the money for the engineering on the hope for getting a grant, or do you wait to get a grant before you spend, 126,000 on the engineering?
This has been on, I have correspondence that goes back to the 1970s about resolving this issue. And it just keeps getting, passed on. So we finally had this money from Senator Lesser, and it's there's no match. I don't believe. Is there, Mona, on the
No
ARPA?
match.
No,
So, it's gonna be a plan ready to go when we find funding. And that they look favorable upon that on all these grants, that there's a plan in place.
Right. And is there, for lack of a better term, an expiration date once you go through this engineering, is where you have to have the grant say within 5 years, or do the construction within 5 years of this, or
Yeah.
is it a long runway, or?
Yeah,
I don't think that
there isn't a deadline to
there
fulfill.
shouldn't be. I mean, some of the things that
Right.
might change over the years is the way you design. Sometimes the codes will change for load ratings. I don't think we'll have that issue here. There could be some changes in hydraulic information. As you know, every year we seem to get more and more rain. So this hydraulic numbers that we use to design for the first time in a long time went up in 2014, and they're adjusted per job now, the way they do it, per location. But that shouldn't be an issue either.
Then I'll make a motion if you're good with that.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion to move to the town council consent agenda for the town council meeting this evening. The RFQ for engineering services beach road culvert replacement. Just to read this, be it resolved that after the RFQ for engineering services beach road culvert replacement was reviewed by the engineering staff for the project, recommendation is made to proceed with Cardinal Engineering Associates for the negotiated cost of $126,500. This contract will be funded with a $250,000 American Rescue Plan Act grant.
I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Move on to item 3, discussion, possible action, resolution, registrar salary.
okay, so we have a resolution here. So we usually do resolution for the registrar's salaries. The last one we did was September of 23. There was in the past law that we would be doing this in accordance with the term. And at this point, we have it's up to the towns to set the rates per the municipality. Right now, they are presently at 28,006. So this is a bit of a jump, but keeping in mind that we have the 2+ years involved with no increase, combined with the matter of early voting. We're having the registrars obviously a lot more involved with the early voting, as well as additional training, new equipment. So it's our recommendation for the 36,000 for July of 25. That would be going retroactive if approved, and then setting for next year to keep it at a more minimal pace. The deputy registrar voters is a 3% increase, and they are hourly.
And Mona, I remember this kind of coming up during the budget process. So are the numbers presented here in line with what we talked about in the budget?
Correct. It's actually a bit higher than what we budgeted. We put in a cushion, which we don't ordinarily do for part-time, but the contingency would absorb the difference.
Just putting some notes down on that.
Maybe
So-
just to add to that, you know, we did a survey of, there was a survey done about looking at maybe 5 similar sized populations. And that average is just under 35,000. So we're in line with other similar sized municipalities as far as the rates being given to the registrars in those towns.
Based on the fact this is varying from the budget, even though it's slight, I think we should move this to a new business item and not a consent agenda item. Because I'm sure there's going to be some input on this.
Yeah, perhaps, you know, historically, just so you know, that again, these are not full-time and are not normally budgeted at any rate. So historically, we would not have budgeted that. But in anticipation, this would be the only line item of part-time that there was an attempt at doing an increase for something that was not settled. So as you know, in the past, if we had an unsettled union contract, it would go to contingency, and this actually should be handled in the same manner. But I mean, whatever is the best process for you. But this is not unusual to do an increase for an unsettled and contingency absorbing the difference.
Right. Yeah, and part of the reason I'm saying to do that, or suggesting to do that, is we're having our finance meeting right before the council meeting, and we haven't had a chance to run this through either side on the caucuses. With Councilor O'Sullivan not here, the first time, you know, his side of the aisle is going to see it is at the council meeting. So they you know, should be able to ask a question, would be my
Very good.
recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in contract. So with that, I'll make a motion to move to the new business agenda for tonight's town council meeting. The resolution pertaining to the registrar of voters salary for 2025 and 2026. Be resolved that the Rock Hill Town Council approves the salary for the registrar of voters and the deputy registrar of voters as follows. As July 1st, 2025, registrar of voters $36,000, deputy registrar of voters $21.25 per hour. And January 1st, 2026, registrar of voters $37,000 and deputy registrar of voters $22 per hour.
I'll second. If there's no further any further discussion, Jeff?
Well, just more of a question. Does some of this need to be like really detailed out where it says $36,000 per year versus 21.25 per hour? So there's no, you know, I mean, people can figure it out, I think, when they see the numbers, but just for absolute certainty, does it need to be spelled
Yeah,
out?
I can prepare that, you know, before we do our meeting, but ordinarily they are set as a salary, even though it is a part-time. I'm not sure if that's what your question, you sound a little soft voice.
Oh, sorry. No, just so it's clearly like we define the hourly rate. So just so we define the 36 and the $37,000 amounts as to what is that an annual rate or is that a salary, you know, just to be crystal clear on that.
Yeah.
Jeff, I think possibly to clarify, it's 2 different positions.
Yes,
So
No,
the registrar,
that's kind of the point I'm making though, is that because we're paying one position an annual based on an annual rate, the other one's an hourly rate. So I just want it spelled out. $36,000 annually, or however you want to phrase it, versus the
Oh,
deputy
okay.
at
Yeah.
22,500.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Right,
okay.
so it
I
may
thought
be
you were trying
obvious,
to
but it
break
could
it.
have been better clarified in the
Yeah.
resolution. Agreed.
Yeah, no, again,
Okay.
I mean, most people are gonna see the numbers and figure it out, but just for ultimate
Mhm.
clarity,
Yeah, it's not a 40-hour-a-week job, so we'd have to kind of divide by the number of hours they average.
Or just say 36,000 annually or whatever,
Right.
just so.
I think it should say annual, and that's what we've been finding from the two registrars that we've met with, is that the hours are so variable.
Mhm.
So as with some salary positions, it may feel like 40 hours, it could be 20 hours, and it could be 80. And that's why we're considering the increase as well. Okay.
Okay. So we have a first, second, we've had our discussion, all in favor? Aye. And I will amend the agenda this evening to move that to new business.
Okay.
Back to my agenda, discussion, possible action, resolution, Board of Education, internal service, final transfer.
Yes, and what this is a resolution based on what we had done in the past, which was that $1.6 million from the internal service fund from the Board of Ed's Health Insurance Internal Service Fund. We have completed our financial audit, and the claims are finalized in that fund. So as part of the end of the fiscal year, we'll be closing the fund. This 16,164 is the remaining balance, and this resolution will allow us to close that fund.
And how is that compared to an amount we were expecting, or do we not have an expectation, or?
It's exactly what we were expecting. Well, I was expecting 16,000. The 164 was more than I expected, so.
Okay, all right. With that being said, I'll make a motion to send to the consent agenda for tonight's town council meeting, the resolution pertaining to the health insurance internal service fund to capital non-recurring fund. Whereas the superintendent of schools, with support of the Board of Education, has recommended the health insurance internal service fund be closed with no outstanding balances. And whereas the superintendent of schools has requested that the ending balance be transferred to the capital non-recurring fund. And whereas the town manager has recommended that the funds be retained in a restricted fund, that the health insurance internal service fund be closed with its unencumbered balance transferred to the capital non-recurring fund. Be it resolved that the following closing funds be and hereby are reserved for the purpose of expending the funds as reflected below in future years until completed. As the capital non-recurring account, which describes the Board of Education school improvements, and the amount of $16,164.
I will second. If there's any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving through those fairly quickly. Update on the special revenue fund.
Okay, it's not necessarily a lot of activity. I will point out that the main heading says August 31st, and then the subheadings are July 31st. Just to clarify, this entire report is for August 31st.
Okay.
What we have is some of our usual standout items, the recreation program with a balance of 300,000, and we'll see that depleted for the following month as some of these following expenditures close out. And we'll revisit what the remaining balance is in that fund for the following month. Also, asset forfeitures, note on there. There was the purchase of 3 vehicles, but just to note that the invoicing for those have not appeared yet, so that balance will decrease. Once invoicing, we have 1 of the vehicles in-house and 2 still being finalized, I guess, processed, lights and so forth.
Yeah.
See, we're still using our town clerks for doing record retention in a number of offices. A balance available with the fire roadside fees coming in. And then we have our private duty, 229,000. Again, keep in mind that at the end of this coming fiscal year, we will be doing the transfer to general fund. Other than that, I
Okay.
didn't have any highlights for special revenue at this time.
Just, I guess the two questions I have on item 4, the fire, the
Mhm.
13,500 came in, bringing the balance to 97,000. Have we, has the fire department earmarked a use for those funds at this point or not yet?
I will say not yet. We've had conversations about some ideas that actually may require this building up to a larger balance.
Yep. And then the other one, the private duty service fee, in next to note 5 at the top, it notes 150K transfer to the general fund,
Yes,
but that's on top of the 200,000 transfer to pension? Or am I
no,
mixing two items?
this will be part of it, and this should go to 200,000 for year end.
Okay,
We
so
can
we
make a
will be,
notation of that. Mhm.
okay, so the private duty will go to the pension.
That's right. This is the source of funding.
Okay. Jeff, any further questions?
Not for me.
Okay. Flip over to this one, update reserve for capital and non-reoccurring expenditures.
Again, not a lot of activity as far as new revenue and expenditures. We have some interest money coming in. But I did want to reflect that the transfers that we made at year end are now coming forward into these balances.
Okay. You good there, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, gotta check. State aid to municipalities?
And still a little slow on the activity here. We
Yep.
did receive the town aid road, and that was the only line item scheduled to be received for the month of August.
And that's the 232,7.
Yes.
232,745. All right. State aid monthly financial report pre-audit.
Okay, so for the month of August, I'd like to jump to the tax collector's report. And you can see that it's slightly behind the benchmark, as 268,000 behind the benchmark, but still, I mean, for being in August, this is actually a very favorable place. We're at 55% collection through the month of August. Terry will be sending out their demands notices out, and the tax collection service has also sent out a new batch of collection items. So hopefully we'll see that one picking up a little bit as well. As far as other line items on revenues, mentioned the state revenue. Other revenues, the larger line items being building and conveyance, they're actually just on target. So overall revenue for month of August is in very good shape. As
All
far as
right.
expenditures, you can see that salaries, nothing jumping out. You do have some of those part-time line items that appear to be above target, but those are really seasonal costs that you'll see, particularly in the Parks Department. Some other line items that might look like they stand out would be things such as maintenance contracts and software. Those tend to be upfront at the beginning of the year or split into half. Uniform allowances, same. We're doing payments in the beginning of the year. Some of the other items that are more quarterly, so you'll see those being around 25% for August, which would look high, but those are quarterly payments, being insurance, workers' comp, liability, sewer services. We have a large line of debt payments that tend to occur in the beginning of the year. Education, in this particular report, it shows no expenditures for education, but we did receive their July numbers actually just about a week or so ago. So that'll be updated in the next report. Those are
So-
the highlights, if you had any other
Yeah.
questions.
Just on the revenue side, I know you mentioned we're slightly behind the 3-year average benchmark, but we're slightly ahead of last year's benchmark too. So
Correct.
not a concerning point for sure.
Not a concern, no.
And nothing else on my end that really jumps out.
Yeah, nothing for me either.
Okay. Do we have anything for other?
Nothing for other.
Okay.
I'll make a
Entertain a
motion to
motion to
adjourn.
adjourn then. Second.
Motion to
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. We'll see you later this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.